All right, we're on.
All right.
What's up, everyone?
What's happening?
Welcome.
So we're live. Are we live video streaming in the convention center?
I believe.
Yes.
Is that where it is? Is it downstairs in the convention center? Because I'm up on the roof right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to reload the client because we just.
I'm jumping.
So Sandeep, have you had a chance to jump in and check out Decentraland and the convention center and the video streaming?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there
Oh,
actually.
you're there? Oh man, you beat me. That's really cool. So we have a lot to talk about.
My name is weird. I selected my name differently, but now it shows like 165. I don't know. Like maybe I reloaded and it reset my name.
All right.
Had to get himself a backdrop too. Nice.
There we go. How's it look?
It
looks really good.
Looks good, Miles.
You're like you're actually.
There we go.
Really dope.
I put mine is gonna be all shadowy with all this nonsense.
Agus inspired us, man. Wow. And Sandeep, yeah, had to get on their level.
All right, so I'm gonna try to log in there and kind of see what's going on in Decentraland right now. So Sandeep, thank you for joining us, dude. I think we connected. So my name's William. We connected on Twitter, probably a couple months ago, and so we're the guys who are running the Block Runner podcast.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, so we made these games in Decentraland a couple months ago, and so far pretty good, like successful so far in the sense that once Decentraland launched, we had a bunch of players. We were averaging like, I don't know, let's say 200 to 500 plays per day on like as soon as it launched. And then and it lasted for about a good couple, like a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then it sort of slowed down after that. But now we've been focusing on MetaZone, which is basically a marketplace, right? Marketplace of creators, and so far just hanging on basically. So we appreciate you joining us, man.
Absolutely, my pleasure, man. I mean, it's so cool. This is my first time I'm doing a kind of a VR roundtable or conference, and I'm like really liking it.
Yeah, it seems like these roundtables are getting a bunch of traction. So these tend to like get a bunch of views just in the sense of like all the stuff that's going on in Decentraland. It's hard to keep up. And Agustin has been sharing a lot of like behind the scenes stuff for some of the stuff they're going to be launching soon. And so we're really excited. Agustin, do you want to go with some of the different, I guess, user profiles in the sense of like messaging in Decentraland and friends list and all that?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is tomorrow we are going to be launching the Plaza, the Genesis Plaza. So this is Genesis Plaza, right behind me. Well, it's going to be something amazing. I mean, there are many NPCs all around the plaza, and they are going to be telling you different stuff. Like we wanted to really have like a experience for newcomers in which they get to to understand what's Decentraland, it's a platform, and what's all the things that you can do in terms of Decentraland and in terms of the whole blockchain opportunities that we have right now in terms of NFTs and that kind of stuff. So that's the first thing that we are going to be having by tomorrow. The second one is the next week we are going to be launching the friend list and the private messages. So you basically will be able to connect with friends, send them a friend request, be able to see whenever they are online in the world and jump into their location. Also, have like private messages and everything. I mean, for the last couple of weeks, we've been releasing a lot of new features. This is one of them, like having video stream inside the world. I mean, it's great. Like there are so many endless possibilities you can create. Having video stream, and also audio stream.
So tell me a little bit about the Genesis Plaza before you go on. There's going to be some new capabilities within the Genesis Plaza, right? Like NFT trading. Is that going to be available on launch day, or is that a future
No,
update?
no. What you will be able to see is a trading center with a lot of information there. It's really nice. It's looking really nice. I have to tell you. But being able to have inward trading is one of the features that we are going to be developing over the next few weeks.
Okay. Good.
But it's not going to be available tomorrow.
Yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
one of the things that I really like, so we have a couple projects kind of focusing on this particular aspect, is bringing the daily active users up. And so if the Genesis Plaza has a way to trade NFTs, that'll encourage people to go into Decentraland and do those transactions.
Yes.
exactly.
And so one of the projects that we're working on right now focuses on like making sure people stay within Decentraland as long as possible, so that, you know, we bring more people to Franky's land so they can listen to him and go into the casino and do, you know, different kinds of things within Decentraland. Otherwise, if they just pop in for like an event and then they just drop out, like it doesn't help a whole lot, right? So I really appreciate that about the Genesis Plaza.
Yeah, I really agree with your point. I think that's the main thing we want to achieve right now, having people inside the world and have them engage in ways that they want to stay and make you know, friends and have like a social layer built on top of the platform that we are providing right now. So yeah, one of the ideas that we have is like basically having this trading center with zero fee. You know, whenever you trade with someone, you don't get to pay a fee. So that will be something that really incentivize people, you know, being there, just trading, and also seeing like charts and seeing different tools that lets them, you know, have like we used to do, like all gamers used to be in one place, like just trading with other people. And I mean the common thing that happens in games, right? Also one of the
RuneScape.
yeah
I don't know,
yeah
I don't know if you guys remember RuneScape. That's all I used to do, just hang out in the halls and just trade things. You know, just be like, oh, selling 10 gloves for 50,000 gold, and literally 6 hours a day. You should just do that.
Right.
So for August, sorry, can I just ask, will NFT trading, do you mean we'll be able to sell things for Ethereum and Mana and different coins, or do we just trade NFTs with other NFTs? What's the plan there?
No, the plan is basically being able to trade with Mana or other coins. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Cool.
I mean, also being able to you know, trade one NFT for another NFT is a good capability. But at the end, we also want, you know, to transfer transfer Mana or any other coin you want, right?
I think that's way good. That's going to be way more popular than NFT to NFT trading.
Along the same lines, would it be just Decentraland NFTs, or would they be NFTs from other projects as well, whatever's in your wallet?
I don't really know, actually. I think that first of all, we are going to be trying to get Decentraland NFTs, but this is an open ecosystem, so I guess that any type of NFT will be beneficial for Decentraland. So yeah.
Because we were talking about it the other day, saying like
we're getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know who that is.
I think it's Miles.
Okay.
No.
Miles? No, can't be. He's muted.
He's muted.
He's muted. Sorry.
But we were saying, like, what would be like a really good thing would be, instead of, let's say, going to a third-party marketplace, you know, buying and selling whatever NFTs, if you could say, hey, meet me in Genesis Plaza, and, you know, the fees are cheaper or zero for, like, trading any NFT. So you can just say, hey, I'm going to trade you something from my wallet. Just meet me in Decentraland. That could be a super, super helpful thing for the whole situation, you know?
At least at a launch, it's kind of like a launch thing. So the first 3 months may be free fees. I think that's how some companies launch themselves. You know, free fees or very minimal hurdles, so you can get the activity happening, and then maybe keep it free altogether, just forever or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a couple of questions for Sandeep, but before I get to those questions, Agustin, you talked about in the Genesis Plaza that there's going to be an onboarding process for new players, new people in crypto and all that. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, actually, we're onboarding. It's not the best one. We have to say that. I mean, we really have a lot of room for improvement. So we are really focusing, on getting more people, not only from the crypto space, but also, like real people that come and see a platform where they can create content and get them, to understand what's blockchain, what's Ethereum, what's Decentraland, what's other games even. And the idea is basically, to walk them through some steps, so they can learn what's our real value proposition. I think that's something that we are not quite communicating that well right now. So if you see, for example, if you try to create a new account right now, we have disabled the tutorial. The tutorial was it was not that good actually. So we decided to disable for now, and every single player is going to come to the Genesis Plaza, and there's going to be a place there where they can learn, the basic stuff like the controls, and also, the whole UI system that we have in place. But also they will be able to go to different buildings. Every single building we have they already have a different purpose. So for example, in one building, you get to know the whole history about Decentraland and all the actions, and what's a state, what is a piece of land. What are NFTs? Well, actually, I don't want to tell a lot about it because you will be able to see it tomorrow, and that's going to look a lot better. But in one place, for example, you will get to see a lot of NFTs, all the collections, and you will be able to interact with them and, well, basically open an external link and go to the marketplace. So the other feature that's coming tomorrow are external links. So you will be able,
nice.
yeah, you will be able to click on something and go to a new tab with a new, URL or anything you want.
So one of the questions from the audience, how many chests are going to be there?
Well,
That's
maybe,
our community
maybe,
right there. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Like, where's the money?
Maybe the
Agustin, I have a question about the trading in world for NFTs. What is Decentraland's kind of strategy for potentially integrating Matic for trading NFTs to increase the speed at which you can trade them, especially in game? I think that would be really important. And also to integrate meta transactions to eliminate gas costs on behalf of the users when they're trading the NFTs. Is this something that you guys would consider would be something you'd roll out soon, or is that something like?
Yeah, of course. So Matic is a really big and important partner for us. We will discuss with Sandeep other news that we have later. But yeah, of course. I mean, we are working together with Sandeep and his team to bring new features and new things into the world. You will get to see an announcement in a few minutes. So yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Sandeep,
I'm
I think we got to
really
congratulate you on your mainnet launch.
Thank you so much. We've been in the beta for so long. Miles knows, like his team also very closely works with our team, and it's been long journey, long and tiring journey. It's like 4 a.m. Almost like 3:20 a.m. in the night air, and it's like my normal schedule. It has become my normal schedule. So yeah, but yeah, very excited for the things that are coming with Decentraland. I mean, we these days, me, August, Fede, we talk, almost on a weekly basis, and trying to figure out more and more innovative things that we can do for the Decentraland community. and take it to the next levels.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah.
Sandeep, can you talk about how what's the so Matic is the second layer cryptocurrency. How do people like landowners or anyone bringing experiences into Decentraland, how can they really leverage that, and what does that mean for the end user in terms of the experience that they have to go through in order to use the second layer?
Yeah. So, very important questions over there, William. So, I'll first take the user experience question. So, the whole idea about and whole vision of designing the way we have designed Matic Layer 2 is that it's extremely compatible with the existing Ethereum, right? So, for developers, it's almost like very smooth experience, and it's going to be more and more smooth in the coming days. For the end users also, we wanted to keep it as close as possible to their existing, what they already know, let's say for when they interact using Ethereum with any kind of application. So there was like, and it's very almost similar, like if you are using MetaMask, you can almost like do something similar. It's just that you need to switch the networks between, let's say, mainnet to the Matic sidechain. And what we have recently come out is that using meta transactions, as Miles was also saying, so using meta transactions, now users won't even need to switch their MetaMask from, let's say, Ethereum mainnet to Matic sidechain. So they for them, it's like absolutely the simple experience. They join, they log into the Decentraland using connecting their wallet. After that, all the things like when the transaction needs to be sent to Matic, when the transaction needs to be sent to Ethereum main chain, that can be handled by the front end. The user doesn't need to switch the context between the the Ethereum chain and Matic chain, right? So and then using those meta transactions, coming to your first question, meta transactions and those fast layers. So till now, what we have been thinking is a lot of ideas around, let's say, smart items or small kind of small value NFTs, like maybe $1, $2, $5 NFTs, which people can trade amongst them at like very fast speeds. Like for land, where the land is very very costly and all that stuff. Let's say some land which costs like $2,000 or whatever. For that you can wait for 15-20 seconds or like 1 minute on Ethereum. You don't need to have them all on the layer 2, and to use the speed and all that of layer 2 on that. But for smaller items, like where you have, let's say, $1 item, $5 item, small items trading between the users within game, within specific kind of context, there you need these fast trading capabilities where you can do these transactions at like very very minimal, like 0.1 cents to even less than that. So basically in $1 you could do thousands of transactions, right? So that kind of user experience, and because the transaction fees is so low, so the business can actually pay for it, the transaction fees. So the user simply goes and it's like click click click, and using meta transactions, it's like absolutely smooth experience for the users. So that's in works right now, and we are very very close to achieving those kind of user experiences on Decentraland now.
Okay, so let's walk through a scenario. So you're at, let's say, one of our games, and if we were to integrate Matic, what's the user's like interaction with like paying for the particular game? Are they still using Mana, or are they using Matic in this case?
No, so the ecosystem or the economics of the network remains exactly the same. So they still have to pay Mana only. Like Matic is an infrastructure layer. It's not the application layer, right? So it's exactly like Ethereum. So nothing changes for end users. Like it stays, and the utility stays with the Mana only. It's just that the transactions they are making it on the layer 2, and where they happen extremely fast, and the transaction costs are absolutely
beautiful.
That's great,
Yeah, that's what I was expecting, and I sort of had this question for Boss here, and so he sort of explained that to me, but it makes a lot more sense now that you talk about it, Sandeep. So for the launch, what do you need to do for the mainnet launch? I guess everything has been tested in the and the other networks for testing. So once you go mainnet, does Boss have to do anything different in order to like have his games already set up?
Not really. They just need to deploy some of the smart contracts, and they've built also built like SDK kind of functionalities, some of the functionalities to manage on the Matic network. So for them, they just need to redeploy their any smart contracts that they have been using on the Matic sidechain, and then just with the redeployment, they should be happy to go. Right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we're really excited to implement the. I'm sure Sandeep can expand upon it a bit more, but we're excited to implement the POS bridges from the main chain to Matic and Matic to main chain. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with like the Plasma white paper back in 2017, but essentially there's a proposed exit time from Plasma chains to main chain, and Matic has kind of solved this issue with proof of stake bridge. I'm sure Sandeep can kind of expand upon this a bit more, but it makes the user experience much smoother from taking assets off of Matic to the main chain again.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the Plasma is a very high security kind of environment, and that's actually meant for larger ticket size assets. So let's say if you wanted to do something on the DeFi side, or you wanted to, let's say, hold $1 million in DAI on the Matic on the sidechain. For that kind of high security items, you need Plasma, where when you are withdrawing to the main chain, there are some scenarios where somebody can try, like if there's a very big amount, let's say $1 million, the validators, although they are very large in number and very rare chance of them colluding, but let's assume, so the layer 2 assumes the extreme. So if we assume that this layer 2 has gone rogue, and they the validators on the layer 2 are colluding somehow to take control of those assets, so Plasma deploys some methods like fraud proofs and all that on the Ethereum main chain, so that if they do something bad on the side chain, they can be caught and penalized on the main chain, right? So that's Plasma. For that, you need a 7 days withdrawal period, because if something goes wrong, other people can come and challenge it, right? So that's the idea with that. But with the smaller kind of ticket sizes, you don't really need that kind of high security, because the validators are not going to collude for, let's say, $500 or $1,000 worth of your assets, right? So and specifically layer 2 for the games and all that is going to be used for these smart and small items, right? The high frequency items. And for that, you don't really need that kind of this thing like Plasma kind of thing. So that's why you use POS. You can very easily use POS bridge, which reduces the time for the moving and withdrawal. Like moving was anyways like 1 to 2 minutes, but withdrawal was seven days for the Plasma. But for this, it will be like within like 3 to 4 minutes, you'll get your assets back on the Ethereum main chain. And I want to emphasize on the smart contract, smart item, or the like kind of the small ticket items. This thing, because we do a lot of we actually very closely help our teams or the teams who are partners with us, like Miles here. So we help them to do NFT sales and all that. We do a lot of joint marketing stuff with them, and try to make awareness about that. And with these many sales, what I have seen is that since the NFT values are very, very like at most of the times high, you have one single NFT which is like $100 or whatever, and then even the smaller ones are like $10, $5, and all that. So sure. I feel that if the games come out with large number of these small NFTs in future, and then I'm sure you would have watched like Axie. You must have seen Axie Infinity, their play to earn kind of scenarios and all that. I think that can bring a lot of adoption, and that can also reduce the cost to enter the ecosystem and into those games, and own some of the things. So I'm very bullish on these small value items, and a large volume of these items being traded on the side chain.
Yeah, the microtransactions. I had another question is, so we've been dealing with fluctuating gas fees in the last couple of weeks just because of the prices. What are your how does Matic kind of mitigate that in if we were using Matic for these purchases?
Yeah. So see, I mean, in terms of the gas fees, Matic also follows the similar kind of approach as Ethereum, because for any decentralized network, be it layer one, be it layer two, you can have some stable like gas fees in a net environment, let's say, which is very very centralized, and there's no incentive for the validators; they are just producing. But that's like a glorified database. If you have a decentralized and crypto economically secured network, these kind of things are or have to be there, because if the network has a limited capacity, if there are a large number of transactions, there has to be some criteria to prioritize them. So, but how Matic mitigates is by providing huge amount of capacity on the transactions on the side chain. So, in our internal tests, we are now already seeing somewhere around, like, although in the public we only claim like 4,000 transactions TPS or kind of stuff, and 1 to 2 second block times, but in our recent test, we are also seeing like somewhere around 17,000 transactions
Nice.
in some of those tests. So that's like a huge amount of scalability, and that mitigates the gas fluctuations for a large amount of time. Also, the Matic sidechain that you see is one single sidechain. There can be multiple such sidechains, right? And if an app becomes like big enough, and they are seeing, let's say, 10,000 transactions per second within one app itself, for example, right? So they might in future may choose to go to a chain which is like specifically dedicated to themselves as layer two, if they have a large enough community and everything like that.
So that strategy is really for scaling for that particular organization.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that needs to be like on the bespoke basis, and in future we are going to come up with those dApp chains kind of ecosystems, where any team that becomes big enough, they can easily migrate into this thing, because that will have some sort of cost involved in it, because validators have to run the chain specifically.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very similar. I don't know if you're familiar with the backend Heroku. It's sort of like spinning up a dyno for just increase like the scalability. So just like spinning up a new chain for your particular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, everyone, like the experience, developer experience as well as user experience has to go to those levels that we see today in the world. That's when we'll get the mass adoption.
So do you think it's more of a manual process to spin up that new chain? Like you were saying, validators have to like dedicate some of the resources for that chain. Is it more of an automatic process, or is it something that you have to like, manually do?
No, so for right now we have the first public chain going live on the mainnet, but I'm talking about the future scenario. Right now the chain has a huge amount of this thing, but in future it will have to be a smart contract based mechanism only, right? Gotcha. So you can't have it in a controlled way, because nobody controls. After Matic network goes to the mainnet, and in a phase wise manner, by the step 3 it becomes decentralized, then nobody controls it. So what will most probably happen is that if you will go to Ethereum smart contract, Matic smart contract, and you will say that, hey, I am willing to pay $500 a month, and here is my 500 DAI, and I want to run a specific chain for myself, and then validators will bid for those slots, and then when the slots and the process is okay, they'll spin up the nodes, and you can start working on that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because once for example, like in Decentraland, once these transactions, if you compare the prototype to Decentraland, maybe was Second Life, they had $1 billion industry for a good time there. And so if we can start moving $1 billion worth of DAI within Decentraland, something like that might be necessary.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So Agustin,
one last thing that you mentioned a very good thing. So again, like that infinite scalability, because it's a layer 2. So think of it like, you have the Ethereum main chain, and then on layer 2, you have currently one chain, but you can have, so this infinite scalability is available for Decentraland, and, the teams related to that. So maybe, like something that Miles is building, let's say if it becomes like really big and he wants to have large ticket, let's say casinos, large ticket gambling and all that. So for that, he might think that, okay, for this, I need optimistic rollups, which is like extremely secure, and everything, what you have on the side chain is actually represented on Ethereum main chain also. Of course, it's slightly costlier to run something like that, but an app on Decentraland can choose that and say that okay, we'll be on optimistic roll up.
Yeah.
Something.
No, that totally makes sense. That's a really good explanation. It helps me kind of understand like how we would implement something like this, just because as soon as the gas prices goes up, like it takes a long time for people to see like their purchases. And in our systems, we have set up to where if it takes like an X amount of time too long, then it just drops it, and it's as if nothing happened. And so like if we can somehow mitigate that with Matic, I mean that right there is like a seller for us. But if we can just make just the experiences of purchasing something with cryptocurrency much better, I mean that's going to help Decentraland as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you see the demos from Decentral Games team, you can already see that the kind of user experience you have there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, definitely. We've been up there and mess with it.
Yeah, with the
just the non-signatures and the just not having to pay gas is massive, and obviously the quick transactions. I think it could help any app that has crypto transactions. I think for you guys especially, Will, I think it would be awesome. Plus, I mean, you could do sales in Mana without like having the users have to pay gas for buying things as well.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're definitely going to look into it. There's like sort of a bandwidth, human bandwidth issue that we're dealing with right now, but it's definitely one of those things that if we can make it easier, the more stickier that will be, right? So it's very, very important for us.
Right. Yeah, I noticed, Sandeep, I noticed that you mentioned Axes, and it's funny because I'm waiting for a couple of Axes that are in the air right now. Currently. So it's actually funny that you mentioned that. I'm like, that would be great because I'd have my Axes by now.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's right now the network is like, I think because of the USDT adoption going off the roof, the Ethereum network is like almost every time it's clogged, right?
Yeah,
even now I did some transaction, 50 cents, 40 cents you have to pay for a simple transaction.
And I'm onboarding people.
Sandeep, go ahead, Franky. Sorry.
No, just I'm onboarding new guys, and they're almost frustrated to the point of not onboarding, but they got me behind them. I'm like, nope, turn around, go figure it out, wait, be patient, but those are friends of mine. I could never do that with a more random of a person,
Yeah.
Yep. And I think we should also start. Yeah. So one just quick point I wanted to make, that we should also start supporting more email-based wallets, like the wallets like Portis, Taurus, and Matic, where people can register a wallet using an OTP, using their mobile number, and then boom, they are in. They don't need to create or seed, create seeds and all that stuff, and that also complexity
very confusing
is
for new crypto users that they're just like, why do I need to know all these words? I'm like, yeah, not only you need to know it, you need to write that down and put it somewhere important. And never give it to nobody. Don't let nobody see it ever.
Security management is a big hurdle, I think. No one really wants to deal with that. I think it makes a lot of people anxious.
Yeah, Fort Matic was recently brought up into the Decentraland Discord, and so I know that Toonpunk has already seen what they're capable of. But you're right. I mean, as soon as you start introducing new concepts and new ideas to people, they start falling off quick. So if you could just use an OTP or your phone or your email to create an account, I mean, that's what we've been used to for the last 30 years. So we shouldn't change it now. It's just adding an abstraction layer on top of cryptocurrency that makes it more user-friendly, at least understandable to the user.
Yeah, and it's also step by step, right? You don't pick up the guy and throw him in the ocean, right? You actually show him how to swim in a small pool, and then slowly graduate into the bigger things.
I
You're
think
basically throwing them in the ocean.
Yeah, I think that the best experience for user is like not even knowing that they are using a blockchain solution, but afterwards, like, okay, once they're already in, they can do amazing things with that, right? That's like a frictionless solutions, right? User experiences.
Yeah, August, I feel like you guys have definitely made kind of taken the direction of allowing users to go into Decentraland without a wallet. And so are you going to continue to just have them have to download MetaMask if they want assets? Or what's like kind of like the future for that in that regard?
Okay, so we are aiming to bring a lot of people, non-crypto users into Decentraland. So for that, we are not going to push people to download MetaMask at first, but rather we are going to introduce them on why they have to, download MetaMask or any other wallet, and guide them, through the process on doing that, right? So right now, well, you need MetaMask. I mean, or at least a few days ago, you needed MetaMask. But the idea is that you won't need a wallet in order to enter the world, and you will, like any other game experience, right? And be guided, through the whole process, and get convinced on why you have to have MetaMask or any other wallet, right? Yeah.
You said a few days ago. So you don't need
because
wallet now?
Yeah.
Really? Did you?
Yeah.
I swear I was able to log into Decentraland without a MetaMask like a couple weeks ago even. Maybe have you guys tried that without MetaMask?
I feel like it doesn't prompt me for my password every time, but I always I've had it for the whole time, so I don't know,
Interesting. Okay, that's good. That's making progress.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do the same with our games. Just have all of them be like non-crypto by default, and then have the option for users to play with crypto if they want to. Yeah. Just so it's good to get them just in there and experiencing it, and so they see the value, obviously.
So Miles, you're talking about non-crypto meaning fiat, or what do you mean specifically?
No, yeah, we won't ever support fiat.
Okay.
I mean non-crypto in terms of just a fake currency, like just for all users that are in jurisdictions where gambling is not permitted. Because we do an IP grab when the user on our site tries to deposit to Matic, like Mana. It will grab their IP and it will block it if it's in the US or any other jurisdiction where gambling is illegal. Just so we're complying with, all the legislation internationally. But, obviously there's lots of jurisdictions that are whitelisted. So
yeah, for sure.
Yes. So those users, they just have to play with the free play currency, which everyone just automatically gets as you walk into the scene. You just get 5,000 free play.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because you don't want any legal issues arising just because fiat currency, man. That's what we're trying to get rid of. At least if you're really that into crypto, right?
Yeah. I feel like for us, like particularly if we supported fiat currency, it would bring a lot of issues, especially just for lots of different reasons.
I wonder, if you're still having to deal with like legal issues with gambling with crypto, how much does it add supporting fiat? I mean, isn't it almost the same thing, like in terms of like legalities and making sure that you're good on that side?
I mean, yes and no. We just don't even have a bank account for our company. So all of our transactions, everything is in crypto. So I mean, we could do fiat, but we'd have to have some type of payment processor, and doing that from Costa Rica is a little bit difficult. Yeah. So I mean, we could make it work.
And that's not fun, man.
Yeah, it's not fun. And I think a lot of our users initially are going to be wanting to wager, somewhere around like $40, $50 worth of Mana, and bank transfer for something like that just doesn't really make sense. Maybe in the future, but I think for us, I mean, just considering we're building in Decentraland where it's crypto focused, I think it just makes sense for us to just focus on the crypto experience.
Yeah, of course. Sandeep, you're with us on fiat is on its way out, right?
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
and I'm sitting in India, so and we are on air, so let's not.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I think the intermediate utility is going to come from these CBDCs, right? So central bank denominated currencies, like what China is launching. So I think that's the next step, and then stable coins along with that. So first wave of adoption should come from these two, things, and then eventually, in a long time frame, maybe 10, 20 years, maybe we'll go to something like that. uh, you know this thing, so maybe and I think other ways that Bitcoin becomes like a reserve currency, and then every country has their own crypto denominated
Yeah, we talked about
this
that a lot.
currency, and then the Bitcoin remains as a settlement layer between international payments, but internal ecosystems might have their own currencies. That might also be a intermediate kind of success scenario. And even if that happens, that's pretty good. I think some people were also this narrative is picking up that once China, they are already testing it in Starbucks and their local shops and all that. Once they test it enough and then put it in the production, that is one time where Bitcoin is going to get a lot of boost. Although you would think that, oh, these two things are opposite of each other, right? These things are fighting a war against each other, but actually it's a big thumbs up for the actually the technology behind it, right? So that's what people are thinking of as a big boost once China launches it officially.
In India, do you see cryptocurrency as like a big topic in India, or is it still one of those like one-off technologies that's not really being paid attention?
So in India, blockchain is already very big. Government is very, very positive about blockchains. But crypto as a currency, they're not that keen about it right now. Crypto, like you can't make payments in crypto. So when people think that crypto is banned in India or anything like that, that's not exactly true. Only the cryptocurrencies are not considered as legal tender. That means if I work for you, you can't pay me in crypto. But
Interesting.
apart from that, if you and me, you wanted to sell some and I wanted to buy some as an asset, as a commodity, I can buy. So they classify it more like a commodity for now. Right? And the all the kind of noise that you see is more like is just the effort to push back the retail investors, because in 2017 when it was the boom time, I think India already had become like third of or like fourth or fifth largest volume country within like a span of 6 to 8 months, right? So that scared away government, and there were a lot of scams also that started coming up, right? So government, that's why government had to put out these things to scare away the retail guys, and so that they can figure out everything and then slowly open the tap on the users there. So in India, you asked that whether it's a big debate. So in the crypto community, it's a big debate, uh, but the crypto community is still small compared to the percentage of total population of India. But the population of India, even a small percentage is bigger than
Yeah.
the total population of many countries.
Right.
So that's why. So the community is big over here, but yeah, they are still very small, like micro kind of holders or whatever you want to call them.
Do you believe that cryptocurrency really needs governments to kind of whitelist it or adopt it in any way for it to be successful? Or is it really cryptocurrency is more of a community thing that we just adopt amongst ourselves and we just phase out fiat because it's not sustainable anyways?
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but it will take a long, long time that way. Like, because in India, like in 2018, what government did was that they simply said that banks, you should not support exchanges bank account. So there was no ban, as I was telling that anyways, like it was just that our federal bank said to all the affiliate banks that you should not allow exchanges to open banks, right? So like in Coinbase, you can deposit your money into the Coinbase bank account and then you get the credit on your exchange. So only that thing Indian government disallowed, and that resulted in like 95% drop of the volume because people don't have a way to get into crypto. So they actually stop people at the gates. So that is something it can definitely happen in a community way, but that way will be a very long drawn process over time.
Yeah,
But
because at that point you're depending on entrepreneurs to set up ways to onboard the community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Instead of having the government say, "Hey, we actually support this, and maybe we have some tools to do it or something."
Yeah, and Indian entrepreneurs, have done in a very elegant way. So what they created is that so the exchange cannot have the bank accounts, right? So what they did is that each exchange started getting these merchant affiliates, which are like medium-sized businesses, where you don't deposit into exchanges account, you deposit into these merchants account, right? And there's a P2P layer of it. So now the banks cannot track like these hundreds of merchants, right? So they circumvented that, and P2P trading was still happening in India. Like it still happens, and it has fairly decent volume.
Well, I guess that's what you get when the government is pushing back, right? You just people figure it out.
People are gonna find a way. Definitely.
Yeah.
They built a side chain, right?
They built a side chain. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. People created such systems. You know that Binance acquired WazirX, right? So WazirX had this P2P system due to which Binance had invested in them. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. It's always like I like to hear like how the different countries are dealing with this cryptocurrency virus, as they might call it now. Because the United States is interesting when it comes to like doing trades on this stuff. Pretty much everything is taxable if you gain anything, and like everything has to be taxed. So it's just a nightmare to track, and there's no easy way of doing it, especially with all the fluctuations and stuff. But I just like hearing like I want to see the first country actually be successful in like supporting cryptocurrency so that we can start looking to them as an example. And I don't know if that's even there yet.
Yeah, Japan actually made BTC legal, right? So in Japan, you can go to a bank with a BTC and get a loan, right? So Japan is good, but then they stopped the flow of these, all of these, thousands of currencies everybody starts creating. So they are very specific on which coins you can list over there. They have, I think, 10 or 15 listed in total, and it's very hard to list in Japan. So that's also one thing. And the other thing that governments are doing is to demonize as much as possible. So like Indian government, they demonize it so bad. So I actually got married in 2018, and my in-laws, they don't really understand even till now that what exactly they still ask, because they're seeing those kind of news. That is it like, they ask my wife that does he do legal stuff?
Yeah.
I think that's all of us.
Yeah. For me, it's assumed, but I get it.
Sandeep, I just tell people I work in IT. That's a cool thing to do for like Indian parents. You just say, "Oh, I work in IT," and then that's it. You're like, "Oh." You have an IT business.
Yeah.
Anyway, because if you start to open like, I work in blockchain and all that. One, they're not going to understand, and two, the conversation is just gonna not really go anywhere.
They're not gonna talk to you anymore.
Yeah,
this guy's crazy. Yeah, I was like when trying to explain what we're doing with Decentraland with like family, it's like, so you're just playing a video game, huh? I was like, well,
yeah,
it's more than that. It's a social experiment. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And actually, one cool, as August was saying, an announcement. So my wife, she used to work with Walmart in India, and she left her job, and she's like, also exploring this thing. And I told her that, your business should be in digital assets, and then she's right now exploring Decentraland to, maybe have some sort of start some sort of business in Decentraland.
Yeah,
that's great.
Nice.
I actually want to see like the physical e-commerce scene develop a little bit more in Decentraland. I know NFTs are really good, but I want to see like physical stores, kind of showrooms.
I mean, that's gonna be possible with the links now, though, with the external links. Agustin said, like I think any type of store like it's pretty much sell any items. But what items do you guys think would be best for having a physical or virtual physical storefront in Decentraland is the question.
I think you just have to experiment with everything. Clothing is one. I have a toy box business that I run in the US. And so basically you get a toy box and you can customize it with a person's name and then a design, etc. So I want to have like basically a digital IKEA type layout where you have these toy boxes looking pretty in different layouts and stuff, and you can go and modify them the way you want. And then you can walk past and check out hopefully in crypto. So I want to experiment with that a little bit, and I think that sort of, I don't know, maybe furniture might be an interesting play, just because you can make it look really good, like an IKEA type of setting.
Yeah.
But there's hundreds and hundreds of things that come into mind.
Yeah, I think any kind of collectible, that can be represented as NFT as well, could be a very
3D
big
printed
business.
stuff.
So you would have like anything rare, Like I spoke to Steve Wan the other day, and that's something he's big on. And like I'm talking to Drew tomorrow from Meta Factory, and that's gonna be another person that's along those same lines, that's looking to something rare that you could have in the physical, and then some sort of digital representation or NFT representation. Those are gonna be big.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how about like a pizza place?
yeah. Good.
Someone's gonna make it.
Something
Guaranteed.
Classic.
Yeah.
5,000 BTC.
Yeah.
That's the price.
Augustine, could you give me a little bit more detail on the hyperlinking? Like, what's the experience going to be like? Is it pretty much any object that you make clickable and it'll open up a tab on your browser? How does it work?
Yeah, basically, for the SDK, you can get any item to link you to an external link. Before getting to a new tab, you will be shown a small disclaimer, so that you really know where you are going. But even you can trust domains, so that if that's something that you already know, for example, you want to go to, like, I don't know, the known origin marketplace or something, you say, I trust this domain, and the next time that you click an external link, then it opens automatically. So yeah, that's basically.
A new tab, Augustine?
Yeah. It's a new tab. Yeah.
Cool.
So what are the legal, I mean, so we sort of talked about hyperlinks in the past before, and there was some resistance within the Decentraland team with hyperlinking. What was the initial resistance with clicking outside of Decentraland?
Well, I can tell you much about the old resistance because I've been in the team for a short period of time. But what I can tell you is that we really want people to keep in the war, right? And one way is, to have them engage and have their focus on in the war.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you only keep people if you really provide them with engaging content, right? So it doesn't really matter if people will be playing and socializing in the world, as long as you provide them with the right tools and the right experiences. So yeah, on my side, what I can say is, like, external link was a really cool feature that we needed to implement, and well, it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now,
no, that's great.
About that, is it going to be, would that work in a chat? Like, would I be able to just pop a link into a chat with someone?
Actually, right now, no, but that's something that will come up. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason why I was wondering is because if there was some sort of like resistance with hyperlinking, then there should have been equal amount of resistance with supporting video or streaming, because technically anybody can stream anything, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem the case. If you're supporting streaming, then hyperlinking is like the easy stuff. So my question is, we had a conversation with the team earlier on, so I don't know if we should even talk about this, but let's say you were able to provide adult content in Decentraland. Like, what's the protocol for something like that?
Of course. So right now, we have to work on our moderation layer. That's something that is still pending, that's for sure. And the way in which we moderate the content, right? As well as, for example, Twitter, we will allow, for sure, having adult content, but we will have to provide the user with the right tools to know that they are, getting involved in that type of content, and they have the right tools to get involved in that. And also, as this progress, we will need more moderation tools, decentralized moderation tools, in order to moderate people that are trolling, or they are uploading, real harmful content.
Sure.
I mean, there can be any kind of thing, right?
So I probably should have prefaced that question with some context to that, because as you know, with any new technology, we feel like Decentraland is more like a 3D version of the internet. And with something like a new platform like that, the early adopters, the one that really bring in the masses, have in history happened to be the adult industry. And so I was thinking, like, if we really wanted to bring users, perhaps, that would be one angle, right? Just because history has proven that. And so I was just like trying to think, like, if we were to provide something like that, what would it look like? What are the things that we need to do in order to support something like that? And then how do we keep it safe for everybody, So that's the context to that question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying that we need to block, the content. We need to categorize the content so that people really can consume the content that they want to consume, right?
Yeah, maybe there's a catalyst that supports that stuff, and if you're on a different catalyst,
yeah. But we have to be aware that not everyone is going to be wanting to have that content, and we have to provide the right solution for that. Yeah.
Okay, that was just interesting thought experiment. So I don't know how much time you have, Sandeep and Augustine. I think we're about an hour in. How much time do we allow for this, Franky? Do you know?
I don't have any rules as far as that goes.
It is a shoots from the hip, man. I like that.
That's the reality. I mean, HP set me up good, man. I don't have any rules as far as that, and that would be more dependent on how Agustin and Sandeep feel.
Yeah, I want to respect these guys' time. I know Sandeep is very busy, and Augustine as well. So I think let's end it here.
Apart from the busy, it's like 4 a.m. for me right now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I think we're all living like that these days. I wake up at weird times when somebody texts me and there's something important to be done, and I go do it. It's just what it is.
So I mean, it's a tough life in crypto. I mean, 10 a.m. I started my day with like back-to-back calls, and it's like it must be like around 18 to 20 hours. So
wow.
This chat is very interesting. Like I would have loved to go on this next time when we have it on a.
Yeah, and we'll try to accommodate your time too. I didn't realize it was that early for you. So next time we'll be more courteous.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll close it here, man. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Very much appreciate guys. Thank you guys out there for checking us out. And,
thanks, Agus.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us. One last thing that I wanted to say regarding the announcement that we had with Matic. We are going to run a joint fund together. We are still defining the details, but basically funding mini games experiences. And the idea is basically having tools like cross game mechanics, like leaderboards, and also like reward pools and all type of mechanics that lets creators create mini games out of the box.
That's all true.
Yeah. And finally drives the creation of engaging content into the world. That's what we need right now, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to hear more details about this, because we'd be the first user if there's anybody, right?
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can also support that in terms of the marketing and providing the conference to bring to light, developers that have developed good games, bring them every weekly, do some sort of like a big blockchain gaming conference where people can show us what they've developed. Things like that on a weekly basis to kind of promote that sort of activity. So it's really good to see that there's a fund and a push to bring on the developers, because in terms of making their product, ripple through all of Decentraland, I think we have the ability to do that. We just need the people to build these things. That's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep me posted on that, Augustine and Sandeep. I'm very curious to like all the details for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
See you at the Genesis Plaza tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be out there. Yeah, I'm gonna be out there soliciting. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Much appreciated on all your hard work. Everybody that's on this panel, because you guys work hard as hell. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. All right, bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
So much.
Take it easy,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.